after that point, after really diving in and meditating, I decided, you know what? Yeah, it's time for a change.
You decided. You spoke to yourself.
I spoke to myself. Yes. And you know what? It was becoming more aware of the situation of the present moment.
Say more about that, please.
Yeah. Again, it was once those layers were removed, and I could see myself in its true form. You know, I saw myself as I really am, which is, you know, one and all with everything else and so forth. At the time I was diving into some Advaita Vedanta and Ramana Maharshi, and you know, this questions of I am and the ego getting in the way, and really beautiful stuff, beautiful texts. And you know, it was at that moment I said, you know, this is not really what I want to do. I want to do something more, and really, I had a welling of compassion really come from my heart.
Compassion coming from your heart.
And I think that happens, you know, through a meditative practice, because that's what stems from just the. I don't want to sound too hokey, but you know, the cosmos or the universe. You know,
it's certainly not hokey. The Buddha talks about compassion and great compassion.
Absolutely.
And what we help people to do is understand that we're spiritual beings, and
Right.
we just happen to be having a human experience.
Exactly.
How tied do we want to be to that human experience?
Exactly.
And take kind of Albert Camus' kind of view of life as that it's absurd.
Exactly.
And how much of that drama do we want to participate in?
Right. And you also realize too that maybe, you know, the goals are great, and obviously you should have them. But when you come to this point in your life, goals change. You know, you realize, hey, you know, because you were creating those goals with that concrete, if you will, that is layers upon you, and maybe those really weren't yours. They were placed there by other people, what you should be and what you should have.
Say more about that.
Well, that's where I was. You know, I was all about, you know, getting the car and then and this and that and the other thing, and getting that management position. I went back to school to get my MBA, and you know, that was the focus. But once I came to this point of awareness, and I don't use the term enlightenment, but you know, I remember at one point, it was after meditating for some time. I was just simply in my car driving, and it was as if I could see forever. It was very strange. It was like just, I sensed myself kind of in not just the car or not just the road or driving on a certain highway in Pennsylvania. I was infinite. I was part of the entire universe, the cosmos, that kind of thing. It was so profound that I actually had to pull over and get out of the car and just stand there. Now, it didn't last long. It lasted probably for a few minutes. But I'll tell you what, that couple minutes, or maybe it wasn't even a minute, was so transformative. It was at that moment, you know, in talking about having a change of career, that I decided, yeah, you know what, there's something bigger going on here than these goals that I thought were that I needed to achieve.
So you had that moment of clarity, and I can share with you, and everyone out there knows I'm in long-term recovery from drug and alcohol addiction, and there comes a time when you do have that moment of clarity. However, do we take the action and effort to act upon it?
Right.
And stay in that moment. So they asked the Buddha once, are you a demon? Are you a god? Are you a saint? Are you this? Are you that? And his reply was to them, I'm awake. I am awake. So it sounds like
Wonderful.
You woke up.
Yes. And after that, I took some time off to take care of myself. I was basically, you know, working on my health and trying to figure out what was going on. And that actually enabled me to manage it a little bit better. And obviously, you know, we took some hits. You know, it was a big challenge in the household to do that, because I had a stable career, so to speak. And so, you know, obviously those fears were there, the anxieties were there, but in this sense of, you know, where I was, this mindset, you know, there was just a comfort saying, you know, things will happen, things will, you know, work out. And I ended up recently getting the opportunity to run a meditation consulting company. And we have a studio in Murrysville, PA, where we offer a variety of classes in regard to mindfulness and meditation. And I feel this is where I need to be. This is my place because I know the transformative things that can happen through meditation and mindfulness practice, and I want to share that with people. I'd love to see lives transformed. It's beautiful.
So tell us more about your concept and what you created.
Well, Mindflow is geared toward really all aspects of meditation and meditative practice. So what I mean by that is, beginners, novices, and even people that are seasoned uh, practice practitioners of meditation. And so we have a variety of classes available. And the other thing I like is some interactive stuff. I've heard a lot from people. Hey, it's tough for me just to sit in silence, and it's hard just to anchor to the breath. And I say, okay, well, we have the gong bath. You anchor to that sound. You anchor to that vibration. We have the Tibetan singing bowls, the crystal bowls, and I do a lot with music. As a fan of music throughout my entire life, I'm a big music buff. I mean, I love classical music and all different variations and genres. And I recall even since I can remember, I'd put the headphones on after a stressful day, even when I was young as a teenager, and I'd put on my favorite song, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. And you close my eyes, and there was some meditative practice right there, just listening to that sound, that song that I like, and I'd visualize things and go through my head of the day and how to solve problems. It was phenomenal. And so I'm remembering those times, and I'm bringing that to the studio. And that's why I have the studio, with full surround sound speakers. And the other thing that we're doing is we're incorporating a lot of the different sounds with the gongs and the bowls and that kind of thing, because I do believe music itself, just listening to music, is a meditation practice, especially if you do it mindfully. I mean, it's very powerful. So, um, yeah, one of the unique things that we're doing, by the way, I almost forgot, is I purchased several wireless headphones, and we had them custom made for Mindflow. And I'm laying a music track along with a guided meditation and binaural beats.
Mm.
So it's a mix of
So there
three
may be some
things.
folks out there who don't perhaps follow that. Could
Mhm.
you say a little bit more about binaural beats?
Yeah, they're at a certain hertz that in a certain speed. Okay, just to simplify it, that one tone is in your right ear, one tone is played in your left ear, and they're actually at different tempos. But your mind actually creates an entirely third tempo. It is kind of neat when you take the left cup off, your left ear, and you just listen to the right, and vice versa. It's only those are different, but yet your brain. So it helps you get into the initial alpha state, and then in order to dive deeper into the deeper states of consciousness and deeper states of meditation, and there's been some mixed reviews about it, but when you factor in the music and you factor in the guided meditation, it is phenomenal. I mean,
So what you're
it
saying is
works.
you find something that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we talk about holistic wellness that we practice, we talk about the mind, body, spirit type of angle. And we're practitioners of the so hum, I am that, what you were talking about before, connection with everything. And we truly believe that, and we try to help people understand that they're flowers, and flowers don't compare themselves to other flowers in the garden. They merely bloom. So we help people understand that it takes water, sunlight, and soil in order to help people bloom. We consider the water taking care of your physical self, and the sunlight is connection with some type of a spirituality, and the soil is the environment that you plant yourself in, the people, places, things, circumstances, events that you surround yourself. A beautiful flower cannot thrive in a sandbox. So we help people understand that they have choices, and the world's not going to move. They do. That sounds like a really wonderful, wonderful concept that you have. So how has that changed your life? Let's talk about you. Let's talk about how has it changed your worldview? How's it improved your wellness?
It's been phenomenal, to be honest with you. I'm able to just manage my health issues in a way that I couldn't do before. I don't battle it as much as I used to. I accept it as part of life. And I remember attending a class. I was actually on is John Kabat-Zinn's MBSR, and I was just sitting there, and we were talking about the approach to pain, how all this kickback to it, and all these. As I mentioned before, you create more pain, you create more anxiety, and the same can be said to really life as a whole. We create so much anxiety and pain just when we read the news and the state of affairs of today. If we just at some point just accept it, and I even say fuse into it, just blend into it. Just lean against the chaos, allow it to support you. You know,
Well, we follow the philosophy of the Buddha that pain is a reality, that
right?
suffering is optional. And what we resist persists. So when I kind of talk to people about talking to their pain and embracing it rather than try to push it away, we come up with some skeptical people because we're taught in this world that we live in that we shouldn't experience any type of discomfort at all. And if we do, if there's any type of a pain, Western allopathic medicine tells us that we should take some type of medication, we should have some type of procedure. However, the idea is that we live with it and we embrace it and we can learn how to talk to it.
I think it was Kabat-Zinn that said there will always be waves. You just have to learn how to surf.
Well, in fact, everybody can go back to our podcast about Surf's Up. So sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll say, well, here's how you can handle this. Have you ever been to the beach and you stand up, these big waves are coming in and you stand up right before it? I said, what happens? They said, well, it knocks me down. I said, what happened? What do people generally do then? Well, they still get up and they get knocked down again and again. So I said, have you ever seen anybody flow out into the ocean, and when the waves come, they extend their hands and they become loose,
Right.
and so they ride the wave. So what we try to help people understand that all emotions and thoughts are neither good nor bad. It's your reaction to them that's the issue. And a lot of these emotions have powerful, powerful energy, and you can choose how to use that force.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was Rupert Spira too that said, the only way to deal with fear is learning how to live with fear.
Hmm.
And again, that's just accepting it on the level that it is, that it's here, and um, yeah, just becoming one with everything.
So perhaps could you tell us a little bit more about where Mindflow Studio is located at? Perhaps the website, and we'll definitely put a link for that up on our show.
Yeah, it's mindflowstudio.com, and we are located, as I said, in Murrysville, PA, and we offer evening classes, a variety of drop-in classes, and also courses. Yeah, you can register online or stop in, and we also have a retail area where we offer a variety of different products, meditation supplies, which would be the bowls and some different items, as well as some variety of teas, cognitive enhancement supplements, and also some brain machines. We have some the Muse headbands, light and sound machines. That comes from my reading of Mega Brain Power back in '96 when he talked a lot about the deprivation tanks and the light and sound machines and so forth. So we do carry those as well. So yeah, it's just a neat place to come, relax, have a cup of tea, and enjoy some a wonderful experience to hopefully transform your life.
You've been certainly a delightful guest, and we help people understand that sometimes Western culture takes these ideas that have been around for thousands of years and decides that they discovered it and make it their own. The rappers today are saying woke. I'm woke. Well, the Buddha said I'm awake, and it was there long before the Buddha. So, however you've discovered it, you can call it your own, as long as it works in your life. That's really all that matters.
Sure.
what we're trying to do is help people open up their eyes and live a life of full impact mindfulness, like the butterfly coming out of its cocoon and exploding into a world of color. So until then, I hope you've enjoyed this show. I hope you've enjoyed our guest Jason, and perhaps you could explore his website. So until then, at the end of every show, we offer free prescriptions, fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and perhaps take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, you can fish without bait. And as always, we challenge you to do a kindness for another, do a kindness for yourself. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of fishing without bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.